What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope all is well. We've got a pretty special one today, one that's been in the works for quite a while. As I mentioned, the past couple of weeks I've been pretty busy here in the train room, and it's finally starting to show. Can you guys believe it's been 6 months already since we first started construction on the expansion of the first layout? I can't believe it's been that long already. How time flies. I will say, though, I've had a lot of fun along the way rebuilding the layout, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos of the journey as well. Like I say, it's just been a blast. Although I've enjoyed working on the layout the entire time, I will say this last little hoorah, or this last little bit of work, has been the most rewarding. Everything that I've been doing is on the front of the layout, and it's everything you see immediately when you first take in the layout. And it's just been a lot of fun creating the scenes that we're about to see. You'll notice a few areas on the layout that still require a little bit of work, as well as some finishing touches. However, with that said, I don't think a layout is ever 100% complete and done. We're always tinkering, adding, and changing things up along the way. However, with that said, I am confident in saying that the expansion on this layout is completed. The layout is back up and operating 100%, and the layout has even surpassed its former self quite a bit. It's looking really good, I think. But I won't keep you guys any longer. What do you say we go ahead and check it out? Well, guys, there she is. What do you think? I think it's coming out pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. This might not look like a whole lot of work has happened on the layout. However, do believe me, quite a few hours were spent in here getting it to the point where it's at currently. A whole lot of work doing ground cover work and stuff like that. But like I say, it's been a whole lot of fun. Picking up from where we left off in the last scenery video, you can see I did get those MTH telephone poles exchanged out for these beautiful Woodland Scenics poles. These things look great. It does look a little goofy running into the bridge right there, but these do fall in line with the other telephone poles that run the length of the layout. Like I say, it just looks awesome. We did also get, it's kind of hard to see, but we got some animals installed over here, some cats and dogs. I do still have, like I say, quite a bit of work to do on the layout with people and finishing touches, but we're getting there. Another spot we touched base on in the last scenery video was this dead siding over here in the rail yard. You can see we've got the Lionel CNNW SD70 Ace parked on this dead siding. I was planning on doing a video on this engine, however I just have not had the time and was unable to get one out. I did feature this engine in one of the very first videos here on the channel, The Perils of O-Gauge Trains. Seems to be the most controversial video here on the channel. But anyway, I've had a lot of issues with this engine since I got it. However, this is one of the first engines, or actually is the first engine, that got me back into O-Gauge Trains when we moved into this house and what sparked the building of this layout. It's not very high on the priority list to get fixed. However, I don't want to get rid of it either. This dead siding provides a cool little spot to add a little extra scene, as well as clear up some shelving on the walls, some much needed space. So that's why I got the dead siding over here. I did this on the last layout expansion, and I was pretty happy with it, so I carried it onto this new layout, or new expansion. Moving on, as you can see, we got our streets installed on the front of the layout. I went over how I make these streets in the last scenery video as well, and I think these come out pretty good, for what they are at least. As you guys might know, these streets do have a purpose, at least up front. This is hiding that ugly seam we have in the grass mat underneath, and as you can tell, it's doing a pretty good job of doing that. And along with the streets, we got these cool little Woodland Scenics street lights installed. Some cool little lights. I will say they do leave a little to be desired. If you're someone going more for form over function, these are definitely the lights for you. However, these things really don't put off a whole lot of light, if any. You can barely see them. Yeah, they get a little bit of light when you get up close to them, but you can see the further down you get, it disappears. It dissipates quite a bit. It's kind of disappointing. But they do look great, I'll give them that. And of course, as you can see, we got this beautiful Menards condominium set up front. This is a really cool piece from Menards. I like this one a lot. Aside from the interior illumination, this one has a lot of separately applied LED lights on the exterior of the building as well. You can see all the lights by the garage doors and on the back side and by the side doors. I did go ahead and add some more pets over to this building as well, some cats and dogs. I tell you though, this UPS driver has been hitting the swish really hard on the job. He keeps falling over. I bend him back almost every day, but he's like made of rubber, so he just ends up over time falling back on his face. He needs to put the bottle down. I will say I am pretty jealous of these SOBs. I built him a pool. What can I say? I work really hard so these guys can have a better life. This pool was a fun little project to do. Not hard by any means, just a little time consuming waiting for the various products applied to it to dry, usually overnight between each product. But I made this pool out of the same material that the rest of the sidewalks on the layout are made out of, this fiberboard. It's like a hard board-like material on one side, and the underside is more like a cardboard, or the fiber part of it. Obviously that side is facing down towards the layout. But anyway, I started out, I got my measurements for the pool. This one happened to be, I believe, 13 inches long by 7 inches wide, and then I cut that base out of the board itself. This would be a lot easier with a table saw. Unfortunately, I do not have one, so what I did, I've got this aluminum straight edge. I made my marks and clamped this to the board, and then just used a jigsaw. Used this as a guide. And it worked pretty well. Like I say, not my best work, but it pulls the job off, I think. Once the base was cut, I needed to cut the raised sidewalk portions out, which this is cut out of the same material. I think these are 1.5 inches wide, if I remember correctly. But I just cut all 4 sidewalk strips out and then glued them onto the base itself with this wood glue. Once that had cured and dried, just for extra insurance, I went around with some silicone. I didn't want any of the resin water that I applied to leak out. So like I say, I put the silicone on. Once that was dry, I went ahead and painted it with a Rust-Oleum camouflage beige color. Once that had dried, I went over it with an X-Acto knife and cut little grooves and whatnot. I don't know if you guys can see them into the sidewalks. And then I went over the whole thing with a black wash just to make it look good. Once all of that was done, it was time to actually paint the blue of the pool itself. I found this Ocean Cruise blue from the local Hobby Lobby. I think it pulled the look off pretty good. Got that painted, and once dried, installed the resin water. Gives a pretty good effect. It's hard to tell at certain angles. But yeah, once that was all done, as you can see, we got a family out here enjoying the pool, hanging poolside, Dad cooking on the grill, the family dog. Got some more Woodland Scenics lights installed. I'm pretty happy with it. I do still want to add a couple things to this pool. I'd like to add some water effects and some people swimming in the pool. I think that would bring it along a whole lot better. But I think this pool goes really well with this Menards condominium. I think it fits the part just perfect. Picked up a couple more of these beautiful Grand Central Gems trees. Some beautiful trees. I tell you, these big O-scale trees seem to be in high demand and in short supply at the moment. They go for a pretty penny. These do look great, but I do think the ones I got previously look a little bit better. The trunks on the other one look a little bit more detailed. These were a little bit more harder to install. Since the trunks are so small, I had to drill little shallow holes into the table and glue them into the table, whereas with the other trees, the trunks are so wide you could just glue them straight on top. But nonetheless, these do look great, I think. I also picked up another pack of these Woodland Scenics pine trees. A little underwhelming when compared with the other trees. However, the great thing about these is they're so skinny, they fit in between the tracks without the trains running into them, which is really nice. I did find the one weak spot of the layout. I like to run my trains in the opposite directions of each other. For instance, I really like running this outer loop clockwise, the center loop counterclockwise, and then the middle loop, or the inner loop, clockwise once again. However, that big Yellowstone engine, when running counterclockwise on this middle loop, the front boiler smacks right into that bridge stud. The boiler comes swinging out and smacks right into it and brings the whole train to a stop. Luckily, we haven't derailed anything yet, so I had to switch it up. Now they're all running exact opposite of how I originally intended, but that's okay. They still look pretty good. Some really good news, the layout is finally completely ballasted. Really nice. This is the first time the whole layout has been ballasted. I've done it before in the past, however, I only really did the front half as that's what you really see. But this time, like I say, all of the track work, or the main track work, has been ballasted. If you guys remember from the first scenery video, we started out with a big 25-pound sack of ballast from Scenic Express. And we had just enough, it seems. This is what we have left. There's roughly 23.5 pounds of ballast here on the layout. And we've got a little left over for fixing or adding stuff in the future if needed. This is probably one of my favorite features of the layout. Doing ballast work on the track really brings it up to the next level, in my opinion. As you can see, I've been really busy with ground cover on the layout. And I'm really happy with how it's turning out. To be honest, this is probably my favorite part about this layout. I love the way the trains look running through this stuff. I think it looks great. The main layer, or the beginning layer, is just blended turf, which is what's right here. The thicker areas of grass are coarse turf sprinkled on top of that. And then, of course, as we went over in a previous scenery video, the stuff for in between the tracks, multiple layers of stuff. And this is my favorite part. Originally, I was planning on installing a little pond, or just an area of water, not necessarily a lake, but I wanted to put a pond or something right here in between the tracks, which I have done in the past. However, I didn't go for it. I thought it would look a little bit goofy with all the ground cover around it, so I opted to stay with this ground cover. And like I say, that's probably my favorite aspect of the layout. The trains running through this, it adds a lot of depth to the layout and a lot of color that bounces off compared with the trains. It even makes the layout look a lot bigger than it really is just because of the added effect. I think it looks great. The last scenery piece added to the layout, which is a piece I've been wanting for quite a while, is this big beautiful MTH Pensy signal bridge. Isn't this thing gorgeous? Like I say, I've been wanting one of these for quite a while, and I'm super tickled to have one. I still got to pick up the sensors and get it wired up to get it working, but I'm very happy to have it. This thing looks great. Obviously, as I was mentioning at the beginning of this video, we still have some open spots and some finishing work to do. I do have a building picked out for this area. I might do a video on this in the future. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Maybe we can do a video on installing a scene onto the layout. To give the layout that finished touch, I went ahead and installed this border trim around the face of the layout. And like I say, this went a long way in making the layout give it that nice finishing touch. Really brought it all together. It hides that folded over, tacked in grass and makes it look a hell of a lot better. I was originally planning on staining this stuff. However, I took the easy and the lazy way out. Rather than staining each piece after cutting it, I just cut the angles that I needed off of the chop saw and then just installed it piece by piece. But I kind of like this unfinished touch, or this natural look. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments. I think it looks good, but I think it would look a little bit better stained too. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. We did also get the curtains finally reinstalled on the layout. It's been a long time since these have been back on. A big shout out to the missus for sewing these up for me. These used to be installed on the layout when it was quite a bit smaller, and the front of the layout had quite a bit different footprint, so we had to modify the curtains quite a bit to get it to work. But I'd rather reuse these because this material was quite expensive. It was hard finding a material big enough to fit from the bottom of the layout to the floor. She sewed a loop in on the top, and then for the curtain rod, I'm just using some 1/2-inch conduit. And then I picked up a couple hooks from Home Depot to hang the conduit from. Like I say, just another nice finishing touch to make it look a lot better. You can't see the bare framework underneath. Well, guys, there's the new layout. Let me know what you think. Like I say, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I think it looks great. I tell you, that was a lot of work and a lot of hours put into this layout. I think that's worthy of a toast. A big salute to the layout, and a big salute to all of you guys. Thank you guys for letting me share the layout and the trains with y'all. As I say, we obviously still have a little bit of work to do on the layout, as well as we have a whole layout behind you here that we're going to be expanding in the future as well. So we got a lot to look forward to still. But it is very satisfying to see this one coming to the end of its completion and being just about wrapped up. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on the layout. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-around.